Hello and welcome back to the MSBaithak podcast. I'm your host Diri, and joining me today once again is my friend and your co-host Vedant. On this episode, we'll be talking about the Iowa doubleheader in Indycar. So let's grab some chai, take our seats, ready our opinions, and dive right into the conversation. Marcus Ericsson somehow still leads the championship, but only by a slim margin, Vedant. However, before we dive into what happened this weekend, I have two quotes from you that were tweeted out by Nathan Brown, who covers IndyCar for IndyStar. The first one is from CGR Teams. And it says that as per CGR Teams, Alex Palou will drive the number 10 car this weekend at Indianapolis and for the rest of the 2022 season also, as yesterday's statement pointed to. Uh, and there is a quote that says, Alex Palou, is a valued member of our team. I think this is from Chip Ganassi. And we will continue to support him in chasing wins, podiums, and IndyCar championships. Uh, the next, hold on. The next is from Alex Palou's lawyers, who responded to that particular quote and said, "We are disappointed Chip Ganassi Racing would attempt to keep Alex from an opportunity to compete in Formula One, and even more so with CGR's public court filings and continued commentary to the press on this matter."
Well,
It is what confuses me the most about this issue is Chip Ganassi is saying it wants to win championships with Alex Palou
yes.
while suing him. While Alex Palou does not want to be at Chip Ganassi Racing. It
Yeah.
does not make sense in my head.
I mean, it's the whole saga, the whole Alex Palou Chip Ganassi saga is very interesting, and it's very strange because we have never seen something drag on like this in any form of motorsport. Like there have been contractual issues throughout the history of motorsport, right? But never something like this. And at least since we have been following motorsports properly, right? So it's very interesting. But I read somewhere that both McLaren and Chip Ganassi's representatives or like sources agree on that Alex wants to go back to Europe and live in Spain and live in Europe, and like that is what he wants as a person. So it may mean like the McLaren deal may be a ticket for him to gain that. It may be Formula E, it may be Formula One or whatever, but the whole saga, the whole Chip Ganassi saga is very interesting. But I didn't expect Chip Ganassi to sue him, although
Well, te- I mean, it is legal proceedings, that
yeah,
they have to, the lawyers had to get together uh, and
yeah,
sort
well,
it out
yeah,
in court,
that could happen.
sort it out in the court of law. That was going to happen. So it is just that the wording took everyone by surprise almost that, that Chip Ganassi Racing is suing Alex Palou. What they're really trying to do is sort out this contractual issue.
Yeah,
That is all that is happening. They're not asking Alex Palou for money, from what I believe. There will be some money involved, but McLaren said that it will not be McLaren Racing money because they were led to believe that Alex Palou was a free agent and whatnot. So, but yeah,
yeah.
definitely, it will be.
I think Alex's managers and sponsors are in the loop to pay out the buyout clause or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. So, who knows what will happen? I mean, even if Alex Palou stays there, he's not going to sign a new contract. Even if CGR takes the option for 2024, if there is one, that is the end of the road for them with Alex Palou, most likely. It's hard to see how Alex Palou would want to continue being there after he's already made up his mind to not want to be there.
Yeah, it would be a very awkward season and a half. Like,
They're still doing well though, even with everything going on. Like Alex Palou is scoring decent points for CGR. They're still supporting him. Although Alex Palou did say that CGR did take away access to some of his data
yeah,
uh,
exactly that.
this weekend.
That's what I was coming to. So, yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have the data and if he can't prepare properly, how do you expect him? How do CGR expect him to give his best and fight for the championship this season, even, right? So it's interesting to, like, obviously CGR are trying to protect their interests, because in the case that Alex does move to McLaren, he will take some of that data with him in his memory and in his notes, right? So in that way, CGR are right in what they're doing, but I think it affects the driver to perform at his peak.
Yeah, probably. Uh, yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, the press statements are not the truth. They're just they're there.
Yeah.
It's for the world to read and to take whatever they want to take from it. A lot of it is just smoke in the mirrors and so on. But yeah, I mean, even Alex Palous teammates had divided opinion on it. Marcus Ericsson seemed to be unfazed by it. He commented, I think, during the weekend that his relationship with Alex Palou has not changed whatsoever. Whereas it seemed like Scott Dixon and Jimmy Johnson were not a big fan of how Alex handled his contracts with Chip Ganassi. So, and I think Scott Dixon also talked about loyalty and being straightforward with Chip Ganassi and whatnot. So clearly, uh, I wouldn't say a rift, but maybe a drop in respect for Alex Palou from his teammates. Maybe that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said that IndyCar paddock is a small community, and perceptions change very quickly. But Alex Palou will be like, hey, if I get my way, I won't be in IndyCar in 3 to 4 years. I'll be in the McLaren seat in F1. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, couldn't care less about IndyCar and all the people who work here if I get my way.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, let me just say, despite whatever the stories are going around, despite whatever the drama is going around, if we get an IndyCar driver who moves to Formula One in this day and age, I think it would elevate Formula One as a whole, and it would elevate the whole motorsport community as a whole, and bring it closer, because these things used to happen in the past, in the days of the Andretti's, and in the 80s and 90s and all those time. But in the last few years, we have only seen GP2 and GP3 drivers, Formula 2 and Formula 3 drivers, come on to Formula 1, right? So, however way this story develops, if Alex Palou or any other driver for that matter from IndyCar gets a Formula 1 seat in any of the teams, let alone McLaren, it would be a great day for motorsport, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's come back to what happened this weekend, and the biggest winner this weekend was obviously Pato O'Ward, a second place finish and a win for the man from Mexico, and that allowed him to, claw back some points in the championship. Now he's only uh, 36 points behind Marcus Ericsson, which is not a lot, and he sits in fifth place, which goes to show how close the championship is getting as we move towards the last 5 races of this season. Vedant, this is what a close season is, and that is what Bruno Michel needs to understand.
You have taken real offense at Bruno Michel's quote, haven't you? But yeah, I
I'm not
mean,
taking offense. I'm just laughing at it because he's trying to sell it the way F1 tried to sell us on all the seasons before
yeah,
2021.
yeah, yeah, I get it, I get it. But yeah, absolutely, part of what P2 and P1 in like back-to-back races on the same weekend, and it would have been P2 and P2, but well, it did not plan out the way for Joseph Newgarden to get two wins in two races. But yeah, great weekend for Pato Ward, great points haul, and I think it he had been languishing throughout the first half of the season. He did get a win in the middle of the season, if I'm not wrong, and he had some decent point hauls. But I think now with just 36 points away, he's right in the mix, as you said, and a five-way fight, a six-way fight, because Alex Palou is not far behind. So a six-way fight, it seems to be developing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Unlucky for Joseph Newgarden though, like you pointed out, he had a great first race and seemed he was on for victory in the second one, but his car just gave out. I didn't really understand what happened in his accident. I don't know if you have any more information on that, but there were multiple theories going around, and it seemed either the engine cut out or the suspension failed or something happened.
Oh no, I didn't watch the race. I had my visa interview the next day, and I had to travel to Delhi, so I didn't watch the race at all. But yeah, it was like uh, Joseph Newgarden has been an absolutely dominating force at Iowa throughout the seasons. Right, he has led the most laps at Iowa, and he has won a lot at Iowa, or something like that. But and yeah, it's just a shame that he had to retire that way.
Absolutely. I was going to say something and I forgot now. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about Jimmy Johnson. He impressed in Texas with a P6, I believe, and this time once again finishing just behind his teammate Scott Dixon in P5. Best result for the car and for Jimmy Johnson in IndyCar, and clearly seems to becoming a short or like an oval. God, I'm losing words now. Becoming an oval specialist
Yeah,
in IndyCar now, uh, and yeah, that's great to see. To see Jimmy Johnson do that. I almost felt bad for Alex Palou. I almost thought, at this point in the season, uh, from a team's perspective, Alex Palou should be led through by Jimmy Johnson and. By only Jimmy Johnson, I guess, because the other two teammates are also in championship contention. But yeah, it's been impressive. I just wish, Jimmy Johnson could do the same thing on road courses and street courses, and that is the only thing that's been holding him back from becoming one of the greatest in American motorsport. He's already one of the greatest, from becoming the greatest ever in a way in American
yeah,
motorsport.
absolutely. I mean, see, oval racing comes naturally to him, right? Oval racing comes naturally to him, and I think obviously it's just his second season racing road courses and street courses, so it would take some time, because when you are when you are a junior driver and you can learn things quickly, but when you have raced for so long in NASCAR and only at ovals, it does affect you. And obviously the entire cars are different. It's everything different for Jimmy Johnson, apart from the oval circuits which he is excelling at, right? So I think it's good that we have oval races in IndyCar, oval circuits in IndyCar, so that Jimmy Johnson can, when he steps on to the track, he could feel at home, sort of, right? So yeah, that's good. But a P5, it's just absolutely brilliant from Jimmy.
But yeah, it is. But the top championship contender or challenger this season is Will Power besides Marcus Ericsson from the Penske team. Obviously, the championship seems to either go, the highest probability of the team winning a championship is either Penske or Ganassi,
Ganassi.
and Will Power is only 8 points behind. Now Marcus Ericsson has done just enough to stay in the lead. His lead has diminished over the last ever since uh, Indianapolis happened, and then he had a great weekend 2 weeks after that. But ever since then, his lead has been somewhat diminishing to Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, and so on. And there's 5 races to go. I wouldn't be surprised that you know we have Will Power and Joseph Newgarden in the lead, and it will be Marcus Ericsson, Scott Dixon, and Alex Palou trailing, basically Chip Ganassi trailing the Penske cars going into the last couple rounds of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's going to be very interesting. Like, we have two Penske cars, we have what, three Ganassi cars, and the
Yep.
McLaren in the mix, right? So even the Ganassis will be racing each other, and the Penskes will be racing each other. So, and like, if the Ganassis get together to block out the Penskes, then it's them three racing out in front, and it's going to be a mega 5 races at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And the next race is Indianapolis. And if you remember, with a little bit of rain, what happened in Indianapolis last time we were there this season, and
Yeah.
it was Colton Herta's show. Now, Colton Herta is nowhere in the championship fight right now. But it will only depend on how well the rest can do uh, and save some. Like I think Max Verstappen said this past weekend. It is that the key to winning a championship is to finish in the points even when you're having a bad day, and that is essentially what I believe will decide the championship over the next 5 races. Is whose bad day can still be the best amongst those. You know, I think for Pat O'Ward, his biggest worry will be the Chevrolet engine.
Yeah.
He will be hoping that the Chevrolet engine does not give out, but it will be the same for the Penske's, I believe. But we've seen, McLaren struggle a little bit more with the Chevrolet engine giving out more often than not compared to the Penske's. So something else that will be on Pato's mind. But the momentum is with him, and we all want to see Pato win. He came really close last season, and he's once again he's right about there this season. And I would love to see Pato win because he's got a shot at that F1 seat too. And if
Yeah.
Alex Palou is in the conversation because he won a championship, Pato O'Ward knows what he needs to do in order to secure that seat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the world would go bonkers if Pato Wards wins the championship, right? Because uh, apart from the old guard as such, Pato Ward and Colton Herta have the biggest fan bases in IndyCar, right? Colton Herta is nowhere, as you said, and Pato Ward has the second largest fan base, one of the largest fan bases in IndyCar, basically. And the
Especially
McLaren,
from like an F1 perspective.
yeah, exactly. And the McLaren backing and everything that goes around Pato Ward, it would be a big, big deal for that championship. And especially right now, he is P5 in the championship, and he is behind Will Power, he's behind Scott Dixon, right? So, and obviously Joseph Newgarden. So it's going to be a very interesting season from this point onwards if Pato Ward does win it. Yeah, you could
Yeah,
only imagine what bonkers things will happen.
yeah, and it's a very short burst for the last 5 races. There's not a lot of time,
Yeah,
unlike in April and May. I think the season ends on September 11th,
yeah.
and
It's
there's 5 races to go, which is a month and a half
month and a
barely.
half. Yeah, exactly.
So you have, I think there's like 5 races in 6 or 7 weekends. That's what it is. So definitely a crescendo for the IndyCar season to come to an end, and I am excited as ever. But that's all from my side, Vedant. Not a whole lot to talk about. Alexander Rossi is moving to McLaren, not having any more great weekends after a short run of 3 good weekends. But yeah, that's really about it. Anything else that you want to talk about before we move on?
Yeah, well, nothing much because I couldn't watch either of the races. And I did watch the first race on Saturday a little bit, but yeah, it was a little late and I couldn't watch it towards the end. But nothing more to add to that, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me and talking about IndyCar with me, Vedant. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one, which is in a couple days' time. So see you then.